Hello and welcome to the Aronax podcast. I'm Craig Eason, host of the podcast about the transformation of the shipping, maritime, ocean space. I'm also the owner and editor of Fathom World. And I'm in Copenhagen this week at the World Maritime Technology Conference, where the world's leading experts in all things to do with ship design, technology and scientific exploration have come to discuss transformation, decarbonisation and change, three topics that are at the heart of what Aronax and Fathom World are all about. And these experts include 5 members of the Technology and Futures Committee of WISTA. I managed to corner them here for this podcast episode, one of my first of late as a live podcast interview. With me is Dr. Bev Mackenzie, Manager on Marine Environment at the shipping organisation BIMCO, Federica Maiorano, I hope I've got that name right, from WISTA Monaco, and heading up strategy and partnerships at software firm SpotShipSofia. Corfini is President of Goversilia in Italy, working in the super or even mega yacht industry, an industry which, by the nature of the growing size of its vessels, shares a lot of common challenges. Jocelyn Hampton is Head of Sales at software group SearoutesKatia. She's part of WISTA Denmark. And also with me is Sofia Fürstenberg Stott, a consultant from Sweden, working with ship owners on their individual decarbonisation journeys. So it's great to have all of you with me, and I'd like to start with you, Sofia, here, because I know you're passionate about what WISTA can offer to the industry, and you've got this first meeting with your committee, with the Technology and Futures Committee, giving presentation here during the conference. So tell me a little bit about what you see this committee trying to achieve.
WISTA is an organisation with about 4,000 members, and we are represented in 55 nations today. And so, in some way, we have representation across the field in all kind of areas, and all at management and decision level. And yet, at the same time, in the forefront of technology, we in this committee, we want to inspire our members to engage more in that conversation, to help them get the language for the transformative change that is taking place. And we want to showcase to the rest of the industry that WISTA is an organization that is actually placed at the forefront of this change and of this development, and that we have representatives here today who are very much taking part in that change.
Well, one of the benefits of bringing 5 experts like yourselves around one table is to have a chat with you, as it gives a chance for me to bring in discussions about environment, about digitalisation, about elements of how fuels are going to be used in the future, for example, and particularly here how we see new sectors emerging and the collaboration that brings it all together. So, Jocelyn, how do you see this ability to bring in all the different perspectives from digitalisation, which is where you're looking, from decarbonisation, from different industry sectors? And because I wanted to look at how WISTA, a meeting like you have, could bring in all those different facets. I said, I don't see many other organisations having that kind of ability.
Sure. Well, I've spent the last 20 years in technology companies within ocean container shipping. And what I've found is that container shipping tends to be a little industry of itself. And not only that, technology can be an industry of itself, but actually we're much part of this much broader industry. And things like WISTA can actually give you that kind of experience and knowledge and understanding of how everything goes on within the shipping industry and how we can learn from ourselves. And it's not just about me understanding what our customers want, what data they want, how they're going to adopt it, how they're going to transform what they do into a digital world, but it's also about learning from other people how they may have done it in a different industry that is very similar because it's still within the world of shipping. So I think we can definitely learn from each other within WISTA to help customers really on their digitalization journey and help adopt that technology that will really help them to grow.
Federica from SpotShip, what can you say that you know, when you listen to all these other members, when you listen to the other opinions, what can you bring into your workload at SpotShip? How can you listen to other industries, other perspectives? You know, when you listen to Bev, for example, when you listen to other WISTA members, or when you listen to Jocelyn, what can you, bring to your table at SpotShip? I don't mean what you can bring into WISTA, but when you go to SpotShip and just say, hey, look, this is what I've learned.
I'm trying to think of a practical example, but definitely, I mean, just to pick up on what Jocelyn said already, and also from Sofia's introduction, I mean, WISTA is a great community. It's just like every other community in many other industries. I think the fact that we're many and represented from different countries, and as you said as well, many different fields of work, I think it brings a lot of human expertise, into play together. And the fact that I can listen to, it's the first experience for me in SpotShip with anything related to technology, because my background has been in commercial shipping for about 10 years. So the fact that I can listen to leadership coming from women that have, much more experience than me, I think this is a great example already. So suffices to say this. And
one of the growing industries is the mega yacht or super yacht industry, Katia, and how do you see that playing an influence in the shipping industry? Because these are very glamorous, very pristine vessels, very different from the kind of ships that I got used to sailing on, tankers and bulk carriers, container ships, offshore vessels, etc. How do you see this being able to influence the discussion about technologies?
So I think with the WISTA we have a fantastic opportunity, because we can share all our knowledge, which sometimes is different because mainly we have a lot of maritime world. But I think now that having all these big yachts getting closer, we have also to take into consideration also the technical aspect. So we can work a lot together to find good solution and alternative. For example, for the fuels, we can find good solution. Also thinking about the safety, and there is a lot of things in common that we can share together. Our new baby, which is the Nautilus, aim is the scope of this group is to try to get the best of our knowledge to make a kind of, let's say, a place where we can put all our experience, because we have people on WISTA which have 30 years experience, 40 years experience all around the world. So it's really something great, and we are ready. We need to be ready today to the fast changes that we have in the world, and to think also on the futures. So how we can save our planet. I know that this is something common to say, but it's very important, because in the future we have also to think on this aspect where all the ships are going to be and what we can do. So I think we really, with the WISTA, we have a great opportunity to share all our efforts and knowledge on this.
So when you're looking at what WISTA can bring, whether it's from the mega or super yacht industry, from other shipping sectors, experience that you've got in other shipping sectors, across different sort of technology groups, different companies, whether it be technology, and I know you've got the other committees. So I want to look a little bit about how you bring that into your discussions at the IMO. You've got consultative status at the IMO, so WISTA perhaps has got an ability to bring in a lot of different voices to the IMO that are perhaps not being heard before.
In addition to the Tech and Futures Committee, WISTA has committees on inclusion, HR, and a trade committee was recently established as well. And this is done with the purpose to be able to focus on these, to focus on topics and identify the important questions that WISTA has a remit to explore, and where the membership has relevance to gather around those topics. Remember, this is a membership organization where everybody is working for free. And so what connects us is that we believe that collectively we can bring value to the industry forward. And so that we back in 2018 got consultative status for the IMO is just an incredible opportunity for this organization. And we have yet actually to identify how we best can utilize that opportunity. But it's very much with regards to identifying the specific topics where we can offer some value. So that would typically go into the safety meetings, for instance. We spoke yesterday about women's maybe different needs for personal protective equipment. We have talked about how maybe we need to gender neutralize standards and guidelines in how we use equipment on board ships, for example. These are very big and complex questions, and I don't necessarily have the solution here, but as a committee, we hope to be able to gather the people that collectively can bring insight from WISTA into these conversations.
And I'm going to stay on a similar theme here, because another aspect that I see WISTA that bringing to the table, and that is this international aspect. You mentioned the number of national committees that you've got, and in front of me, we've got representatives from WISTA Monaco, WISTA Italy, WISTA Sweden, WISTA UK, WISTA Denmark. So we've got here 5 nationalities around one table representing a sort of international technology view, if you like. Can you tell me a little bit about how you see that being able to bring scope into the discussions? Because to an extent, WISTA is like the IMO to some extent. It's like a small kind of United Nations in bringing all these nationalities together, because you could all be representatives of your own countries at the IMO. You could all be representing the IMO on the benches at the committee meetings. So what I guess I'm asking is a little bit about what sort of international perspective WISTA brings into these discussions.
Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out that I'm a serial joiner of professional bodies and learned societies, but I take it very seriously how I decide which ones to join. And WISTA's part national, part international focus is actually really important, because being a woman in the industry, you're impacted by your national kind of laws and how things work culturally in your country, and your national grouping can help you with some of those. But these big issues that Sophia mentioned, protective equipment on board ships, for example, how AI might be adopted. There's lots of kind of research that says if AI algorithms are written by men, they will perform differently from if they're written by women. Those are really big international cross-cutting issues that if you discuss them nationally, you just miss bits. You miss the kind of broader perspective. And particularly now with decarbonisation and this equitable transition, getting engagement across from the small island states, developing nations is really important. And WISTA has that kind of reach and that kind of friendliness that, you know, women in some of those countries are not encouraged to participate in these things. But WISTA is a group that actively encourages people from around the world and gathers perspectives. And I think we're really trying to nurture that in our committee.
So my final question then is, what steps are next? Where does the Technology Committee move forward? Where do you move forward? How do you take what you learn from a large conference on technology here in Copenhagen today and take it back to WISTA and even to your organisations? How do you take the discussions at WISTA into your organisations and vice versa?
I think the first things I'm going to do is to share our experience, to knock the door of all our members and say, look what we have done, and this is really something very interesting to do and to populate with other events like this. And
I think this is an opportunity for WISTA to showcase here today, when we are in Denmark, where we have a lot of Danish industry represented, to have them see how they can interact with WISTA as an organization to progress on issues that are important to them, because we have the boots on the ground across the world and nobody else has that.
Personally, I think we're just, there's a huge sustainability revolution that has knocked on our door. And I think we represent here, as WISTA members, as a group, but also individuals, different companies and different outlooks of how technology can really impact the industry in the future. And I think collaborating all together from this point of view, I think is going to make the industry a lot stronger.
For me, it's really taking the kind of 18 years of experience I've got sitting at IMO meetings and really working out how WISTA can be involved and get our voice across where I think it's really, really needed.
I would say that from my perspective, it's been wonderful to meet others from other WISTA organisations. I totally appreciate the internationalness of our organisation and building that network. It's fantastic to talk to women because you tend to have an element of trust already established, especially if you're all members of the same organisation. And using that to build a network, build education, build knowledge and experience, and sharing that across is something that we'll definitely take moving forward, both on a national level as well as across the tech committee and internationally.
you very much to the five of you for allowing me to come and have a chat with you. My name's Craig Eason. This, of course, has been the latest edition of the AaronX podcast, and you'll find it on all of the most popular podcast apps, even on Spotify, where you can like it and subscribe to it. And please do. It makes me feel good. And please go to the Fathom World website, where you can read all other stories about the decarbonisation and transformation of the shipping industry and the maritime space. And you can subscribe to my rather irregular newsletter. Until the next time, goodbye, and thank you very much to my five guests.
Thank you. Thank you.